Michael. We are live. How are you doing today?
I am doing great this morning, Martin. How are you doing?
Doing great as well. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on the live again.
It is. Let's welcome everybody back to the show. It's great to have everybody here. We do this live every single day, every weekday, Martin, at 11 a.m. And today's Wednesday, the 8th of July. I'm never going to get a date wrong again unless I just did it. Let's get right to this stuff. And the stuff we're going to talk about today is, I think it's super related, and it's literally been everywhere, and not just today, but over the last few days. OpenAI's GPT 5.6 launched, was approved. And I think the approved part is the thing that's going to be really interesting. But you cannot separate that from Anthropic's Fable 5 is still available. You'll probably say it as a statement. I'll say it as a question. Um, to me, this is just like, is Patty Pimblett gonna beat BSD? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's gonna happen? It's a question for you. Maybe it's a statement. BSD is gonna beat Patty Pimblett. Like, I don't know where that goes. But let's talk about this stuff. And then later in the show, Martin, we will be joined by David Close. David is the chief solutions architect at FutureX.
Yeah.
And he's going to help us run through how this transition to unified quantum resistant cloud cryptography enables enterprises to scale safely AI models and ultra fast transactions without risking their foundational data. I love these conversations around data and data security. I really, really do.
I think that's our favorite topic, Michael, right?
I think besides artificial intelligence, I think like this stuff, and you know, you add, again, I don't want to do the podcast before the podcast, as we always say, but like you add the quantum stuff into it. We had an incredible guest on ATP a couple of days ago to talk about quantum.
Yep. Christopher was insane on ATP.
Yeah, he was really insane. And he gave me knowledge that I didn't have before about, like, you don't need quantum computing to have a quantum algorithm. What are we doing?
Yeah. That's like, as we said after, it was the first guest what you explained to us clearly, right, in plain words, what were going on in quantum, right?
Yeah, because everybody else is like, well, we're not really sure. It's a little unstable, and it's going to be here in 3 years, multiplied by some factor that we don't know yet. You know what I mean? And he was just like, yeah, it's not here. We don't know when it's coming. I don't know what the timeline is, but here's the impact of what's going to happen, and here's what we know today. That guy was awesome. Anyway.
Yep. Let's start about OpenAI GPT 5.6.
Let's do that, Martin. So there, you know, all week, what day is today? Today's Wednesday. There were rumors all towards the end of last week and this week that this thing was actually going to finally roll out. OpenAI is moving toward this broad public rollout of GPT 5.6 after a delayed release, again, shaped mostly by U.S. national security issues and reviews. This, if I have this right, 5.6 is, I don't know if this is the first time they've done it or maybe the first time they're just talking about it at scale, but it has 3 tiers to it. Is this normal?
Yes and
do you know
no.
what I mean?
Yes. They do GPT-4, but not for every model, but they have 5.4 mini, they have 5.5 Pro, and they have 5.5 normal. So they have different tier, yeah.
So I love what they're doing here. So this model family has 3 tiers: Soul, which is the sun, right? That's the flagship thing. Terra, which is kind of like a lower cost capable model. It's good. Okay. And then Luna, which is the moon. So it has the Earth, the sun, and the moon. What are we doing? Like, again, who's doing the naming conventions? But that's the Luna is like the fastest and most cost efficient version of this. And again, the key here is that OpenAI says this family represents like a really like a pretty good leap, a pretty good advance in cybersecurity capability. And both for cybersecurity, and here's where it gets interesting, Martin, for both biological and chemical risk as well. And this is one of the things we talked about. And this is where I think, like, if you're not listening to this show, you're missing something, because we talked about this. Remember, and we'll talk about this more today, but we asked this question of, like, why is everyone just focused on cybersecurity when they should be focused on biological risk and chemical risk as well? Anyway, one of the most interesting things here, and we're just going to keep talking about this as well, is that these models are no longer just like thought of as like software tools that people are using. They're just not. And they're not normal software releases, because the leaps that take place between, you know, again, whatever it is, 4.8, 5.0, 5.1, whatever it is, up to 5.6, they're just I don't want to say they're quantum leaps, because that's going to get confusing. But they're really large jumps from like the previous releases. And it's getting to the point where, like, the U.S. government is getting involved because they're just so worried. And I think in a way, like, we can joke about it. You can agree or disagree with any governmental policy or any government administration. Okay, let's just say that at the beginning. Well, I'm not making a political comment here, but in this case, I think at least the review, they got this right. I really do it. Let us at least, you told us it's too dangerous. At least let us take a look at, like, we're not the ones who went out there and said, you can't release this because it's craziness. You said it was.
Yeah, true.
And if that's the case, well, then it's incumbent upon us, since one of our jobs is national security, you should give us access to it first before you unleash this thing on the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, so did you want to jump in?
No, but they have been saying that it's too dangerous to be released since GPT-2, just for context, right? So it's been some
Yeah.
time that they are
Yeah.
banging on this idea that AI is too dangerous, right? So I agree that it made some sense that the government saying like, hey guys, it's been 5 years that you say your models are too dangerous. Now actually let us have a look before you actually release them for public.
Yeah, and one of the final things, it's not the only final thing I want to say, but one of the things as well is that, you know, we talked about, we're going to cover two large topics, but they're generally very, very related with each other, right? Again, Anthropic's Fable 5 was banned. Let's see, the US government literally like put export restrictions on it, but in a way that was so egregious that like they couldn't even release it. They had to unrelease it. So these two things are now, I think, intertwined. What do you think?
Definitely. That's why like story 1 and 2, the first one about GPT 5.6, and
I just wanted to break it down. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just wanted to break it down so people knew we're going to relate this thing to that thing. But I think you're 100% right. I think it cannot be separated at birth here.
And then the next one about Fable 5 being still included into our subscription are definitely correlated, right? Like, so just like maybe to give a bit more information about GPT 5.6, I don't know if you said it, but it will be released tomorrow, right? Like, so Thursday this week. And it will be part of the normal subscription as well as part of the OpenAI's subscription. It will be rolled out into Codex. People are going to be able to use it, and that's basically the answer to Fable, right? Like they want to say, okay, like you get Fable, you get your next model optimized for cyber security. OpenAI basically does the same thing and say we have now our own model optimized for cyber security and at the same level of Fable that's called GPT 5.6 with the 3 different tiers that you mentioned. And that's supposed to go out tomorrow. And that's why I said that it's so connected to Fable, because Fable was supposed to get out of the subscription yesterday.
On the 7th was the date that it was announced, right?
So yesterday night, right? Like, so like a couple of hours ago, basically like 8 or 9 hours ago.
Right.
And Anthropic said, actually, Fable is staying until the 12th, until July 12th, so 5 more days. And
but so I want to ask you this though, like, what's the difference between 3 more days and 5 more days? And I feel like Anthropic keeps doing this, and to me, this is really problematic. I just want to say that first and then see what you think about it, because you know what I mean? It's like you can't have any more cookies except the remaining Oreos in this box. And then every day I go out and buy more Oreos. It's like, it's not going to help your diet. So if they keep saying like we're going to restrict this and it's going to be usage credits only, and then they go, but we'll just do it until the 12th because people started moaning about it. Does that mean like the only mechanism we have now is just a moan about, do you know what I mean, about Fable 5, and then they'll stop using this usage-based thing?
Yeah, so I think like first of all, part of the answer I think to this question is that OpenAI is releasing 5.6 and they put it into the subscription. So which means now Anthropic is operating into a landscape, into a competitive landscape where the competitor is giving probably a model that's good enough, I mean, that's as good as Fable for way cheaper. That's just the fact that if like when GPT 5.6 roll out into the subscription, you will be able to access it for much cheaper than the API token-based pricing that Anthropic wants to force on us, right? And so that's why like if it feels to me that because OpenAI is doing this, it really forced Anthropic to react, and they are still, I think, hopeful delusional based on like how you want to see that if they give you a little bit of it for a week, then you will love it so much that then you are ready to pay 10 times the price, 20 times the price for something that is not clear if it's as good as if it's much better than Opus to justify the increase of price, to stop using your subscription, to go to usage-based billing. I think Anthropic really believe that's possible, and this is the crazy thing. I don't see any other explanation. I don't see any other explanation.
Is there any historical precedent for this, right? So here's what I think.
Tell me.
just to get back to the numbers, right?
Mhm.
In the previous round, Anthropic raised, what was it, 60 something billion dollars?
Yes, 60
$65
something,
billion.
yeah.
And if you combine that with well, it's not, you can't really combine it. I'm not going to call it $95 billion because that 30 was like real money that they really needed to really build real things. And the newest money was just like, how can we profit from the IPO? But OpenAI raised $122 billion. And these two companies are nominally in the same exact business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep.
The places that they make money is the same exact way. It's through their coding stuff, right? Neither one of them has enough compute, so they got to go out and buy the compute. Maybe OpenAI has a little bit more. I feel like now, with Anthropic continues to go down this road of we want to change from subscription to user-based credits. And OpenAI is just sitting on the sidelines going, we're not doing that yet. We said we wouldn't do it. We're going to build an ad business so that we can have access for everybody at scale, and the ad business should pay for that. And then the subscription business should cover at least some of our costs. And in the interim, if we have better access to capital and if we can control our expenses better than Anthropic can, those guys, like both of us have our hands being twisted behind our back, but we have better access to medical care than they do, in the sense that we have better access to capital than they do. Clearly, maybe we're just going to outweight them.
Yes.
because, and again, please feel free to jump in and interrupt me. But here's part of the thesis, and that is, if I'm willing to live with the losses that my subscription plan gives to me, and it does lose money for me, and Anthropic keeps going, we're going to charge you for user-based credits, but every time they get close to it, they're like, these guys at OpenAI won't give in. So we're either one of two things is going to happen to Anthropic. One, they're going to lose money on their subscription stuff, and they don't have as much money as OpenAI does. Or two, they're going to just go, you know what? We said we're going to do user-based credits. That's what we're going to do, and we'll see what happens. And then if they lose, because there's plenty of people, again, we talked about this just like you were, who said, I can live with both.
Yeah.
And I can orchestrate both of them. And if once I learn how to orchestrate Codex as opposed to learning how to orchestrate Fable 5, I'm good to go. And maybe they're playing this little game of chicken of like, I'm going to stand in the middle of the road longer and just wait for that oncoming train to come until it gets much closer than you're willing to wait.
I think you are completely right. Maybe, Michael, like while I answer, can you just reload the room? Because like your quality dropped. So
I
you
will
should
do
just
that right now.
reload
I'll do
the
it right
room.
now.
Yep. And when you do that, I would just reply to you
Keep going.
for people.
Yep, keep going.
But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I really feel that OpenAI right now is able to lose more money than Anthropic, because they never talk about this usage-based pricing. They never talk about, hey, we are just going to put that into a subscription for a short period of time. Like they never give any hint about them, doing this type of thing about like usage-based pricing or API. They just talk about the subscription and the great thing that they release in their product, right? Like the entire OpenAI, the narrative, the entire OpenAI communication completely changed since the new CMO joined. It's night and day compared to February, and now in June, it's night and day. Right? And it feels to me that Anthropic had a lead back in February or March, but now it's OpenAI that's much more in control of what's going on. And I think you are right, Michael. OpenAI is willing to lose much more money than Anthropic is on once, and on the second thing, OpenAI may be forcing Anthropic to have compute issues, because if Fable is so compute hungry, and if they force them to subsidize the cost through the subscription, then they need to use even more compute that OpenAI can afford, but maybe not Anthropic. So I think they are playing on the two things here, right? And I don't know if this is super legal, to be honest.
Why not, though? What's the problem?
Like, I remember I've seen a lot of people, like I've seen a couple of months ago, about, is the subscription legal? Because if you...
really?
Yeah, because if you pay $200 to get something that would normally cost $5,000, like this is, I don't remember, but there's a term for it. Like you can't do that. Like you cannot undercut the market by creating a subscription and selling it at a price that's way lower than the normal market price. And
Got it.
people were saying it may be okay because they all do it, or maybe because it's new and it's not regulated yet. But there was definitely something here that was a little bit not normal with their own subscription. So maybe there's a little bit of that as well, right? Like part of the price, part of the compute. And yeah, I think like that's really why we still have Fable into our subscription. That's because of GPT 5.6.
What do you think I think you're 100% right that it's due to the release of 5.6. But what do you think is going to happen on the 12th now?
If they will,
Remember, we had some very serious people that have sold companies like Skyscan. You know, we had Lars on the show a couple of days ago on ATP, and he was like, stuff that's going on with Anthropic is just silliness.
yes.
In a way, they're like shooting themselves in the foot, right? Because
Yeah.
they keep saying, and again, I hate to keep going back to this thing about the little boy who cried wolf, but that's kind of what it is. It's like on the 7th, we're going to cancel all the stuff. You're not going to be able to use it. And then like, okay, on the 7th, it's fine. But on the 12th, you guys are in deep trouble. And like, when does it end? And I'd like someone to do a little bit of math around this idea of like what it really means to change from SaaS, right? Because that's essentially what this is: software as a service. You pay me a monthly subscription, you get to use it for as much as you want. No one says like, "Oh, you've used up your Salesforce credits for this month."
Yeah, no,
Right,
that's
or your
ridiculous.
ERP system or your warehouse management system. They're just like, you get a management system and you pay $1,000 a month for it, whatever it is. Yeah. And no one complains about it. I mean, maybe it's expensive, but people just use it, and the companies don't complain about the compute problems that they have, and the users, the subscribers don't complain either.
Yeah.
But and one of the things is, right, they have this like this variance problem. So the way traditional SaaS works is a small percentage of users that like are completely power users, right?
Yes.
They're just dominating the system. They're on 24 hours a day. And this could be true even for like Salesforce 360 if people are using agents to do stuff like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
For every SaaS, it's true. You always have like a set of power user.
Right.
On which,
but those guys then are subsidized.
Yes.
By the people who just like, I log into Salesforce twice. And I'm just using Salesforce as a proxy, right? Because they've made their entire application, again, MCP compliant and API available. So it's the perfect example of this, right?
I think
the power users, sorry, go ahead.
I think maybe a better example is Shopify.
Yeah,
because Shopify, they charge you for sales, but their cost is on compute, which means they pay for traffic. And you can have 1 million visitors on your website on Shopify and make 0 sales, but on their side, they don't have a much bigger bill, right? And so which means all the traffic that is not buying from you, all the free people that are doing on your website are subsidized by the people who are actually making sales on their websites.
Exactly.
Right. And so this is exactly the type of offering where they can subsidize by charging you based on your sales, but their cost is based on your traffic, right? And so I think this is like an overall example of how the SaaS model works.
Yeah, but again, if you think about this, like if you have a hybrid model now, right, where some people like I'm never going to run into limits.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm never going to get to this usage based thing. I don't use Anthropic anyway. But even if OpenAI went to this model, it wouldn't really impact me because I'm not using that level of compute. But there's got to be a way to do both, right? To have like sort of some hybrid model to do this where, sorry, go ahead.
No, finish your thought. It's like something completely different.
well, because you can have a hybrid credit framework, right? That forces the heavy users then really to pay their true cost. And then that subsidizes the subscriptions even more. So like you can do this thing where it's hybrid, but like if I'm using just a ton of compute, I should have to pay for that. But maybe the subscription prices then go down.
So I think like this is pretty much what they both do in a way where you can add extra credit to your subscription. So let's say I max out my $200 plan. I can then pay for API cost on top of that, So I have a weekly limit. I have a 5 hour limit on my subscription, and everything that goes on top of that, I need to pay for the API based, basically, yeah, like
Mm.
API price, which is way too expensive. So what people do is actually they take multiple subscription. So then they then they get way more tokens, way more usage for just like the cost of the subscription. So that's what this entire thing where they give you $200 per month plan, but they give you maybe $5,000 worth of API usage.
Right.
This is the root of all the problems for them, for Anthropic, because OpenAI is doing that as well, and OpenAI stayed there and is fine with that. and Anthropic looks like they are not fine at all. And Michael, I have a theory on why they are not fine about that at all. And the reason why I say they are not fine is because they are always trying to put stuff outside of a subscription. They said
Yeah.
actually, but Michael, like when you think about it, like we were supposed to lose our subscription like three weeks ago, right? Like, so
Yeah. On
3 weeks ago,
June 15th. On June 15th.
on June 15th, like we were supposed to stop having like $5,000 worth of credit in the subscription. So it was supposed to be gone. And now this is not gone anymore. Then we have Fable for a week, then Fable stay, and then so I have a theory, Michael, of why it's such a mess. I think Anthropic is bleeding money. Their revenue are actually way lower than.
So this is what I was talking about before, but
Yes,
go ahead, keep talking, because I think
like
this is important to mention. This is the missing point, yeah?
yes, maybe Anthropic's revenue are actually lower or small growth compared to the last announcement that they made. Okay, so which meant that they went from 9 billion at the end of 2025 to something like 30 and then 45 in like 4 months, right? So like absolutely insane growth. I think since then they didn't announce anything about their income. And I think they are either not growing or even worse, they are maybe losing money.
Or
And
their
the
or their growth is stalling. Yeah, they're definitely losing money, but their growth could be
yes,
stalling, right?
yes,
Again, you
yes.
said, what is it, 9 billion at the end of
To
2025,
like 15 and
30
then
billion, then
40,
to 45 billion in April, and now
something like that.
maybe it's like 47. But like we don't know what
Yeah,
it is, but
something
maybe
like that.
it's
Yeah. And
yeah.
maybe even lower, like maybe it's actually 40 now or even
So yeah,
35. And
the
so,
worst thing that could possibly
yeah,
happen to either one of these companies is they start reporting lower, not
yes,
just lower growth. That's kind of okay,
but
but
lower income.
lower annualized
Yeah.
revenue projections is just going
And
to be a nightmare. It's a death knell, I think.
And I fear, and for is in this situation, the reason why I think about it is because I think now actually everybody uses the subscription instead
Yeah,
of token based, right? Maybe 4 months ago, more people were paying for the API, but now I think everybody that we speak to are all using the subscription. So that's a pretty big loss, first of all. And two, with all the craziness that Anthropic has been doing in the last few months, they gave us a lot of reason to go to OpenAI that is much more stable now. So I think these two things combined may actually make Anthropic today make less money or have a growth that is much lower than they announced last time. And the problem that they have is that it's the only marketing they know how to do. They
right.
only know how to do. We are going to give you a little bit, and then you get to pay for API pricing. We are going to release a model that's too dangerous to be released.
Right.
And that's the only thing they know how to do from a business standpoint. That's the only way they know
They
how
have
to
one
make
trick,
money.
it feels like,
Right?
doesn't
Like,
it?
yeah, it looks like they have just one trick and they just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And that's why I say they are delusional or hopeful. You can see that in the way you want,
Mm.
because they just do the same trick over and over and over. And I feel the market has left. I feel like now everybody wants the subscription, everybody wants cheaper price, everybody wants to use the Chinese models. So when they come and they say, look, you didn't get Fable for a week and then it's gonna be usage-based pricing, I didn't even try Fable. I was like, if it's usage-based pricing at the end of the day, I'm not going to pay for that. I don't care, right? Like it's
So
not it's not for me. So that's why like all of that an announcement about Fable is amazing. It's the best model in the world. Blah 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 blah. As soon as they say it's usage-based pricing, it's not for me. I don't want it. I don't try it. And then everything that you do about that is absolutely useless.
so
So
so I don't think this is any different There are a bunch of little points I want to make, if that's okay.
Yep, go ahead.
So I don't think this is any different from any other relationship that you have, but let's just talk a little bit about predictability and budgeting, if you don't mind. So a typical development team, right,
Typical
and even
process.
individuals that are developing that are using this stuff, if they have unmetered access, right, they can just prototype, they can do whatever they want in the
Yeah.
development of whatever system they're building, right? And they can deeply experiment because they're like, oh, I have an idea. They don't have to worry about like how many credits they have left or what they're doing. But once you start doing credit tracking, right, it literally creates this, I don't know what you call it, like some cognitive overhead of like, well, are there 5 tests that I want to do, but maybe I can only do 2.5 of them or 3 of them. Which ones do I choose now? And now I'm creating friction for the
Yes.
people that I want to use my product. And now the developers are sitting there thinking, how do I balance this code optimization, this better code that I want to write versus like what the financial costs are going to be to get to the best place? And this is something people that have been writing code for have never had to do before.
No, that's true. Yeah,
Never.
this budgeting, right? Like based on the cost, but also like also it makes absolutely no sense. Like if you have a budget of $1,000 per month, you take 5 subscription of $200 each, and you will get maybe $25,000 worth of token.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
makes no sense, right? Like you are
That's
never gonna go on the
that's a
usage-based
good
pricing.
idea. But
Yeah,
then it brings up this other thing, which I'll
yeah.
call like when you the integration of these tools into your workflow, right, becomes fragile then.
That's
Why?
why then it creates friction, it creates a lot of
Because
anger. Yeah, for sure.
if you have one subscription for Martin Ronfort, right,
Yeah.
and you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning with a killer idea, you don't have to think like, do I need to context switch between that other subscription that I had, and it's early in the morning and you're groggy, but like you have this killer idea, and you're like, ah, what was my idea again? Because I was too busy trying to figure out which one of my logins would give me access to this thing that I needed.
Yep. So,
You know what I mean?
but people do that right now. I see so many posts on X right now, and people saying, "Hey, I have four
I know.
subscription. I have subscription. I have 5 subscriptions." So this, so I think here it's really clear to me that the market is going toward the subscription-based pricing. That's what the market wants. That's what people are buying. That's the best model for everybody. The clients, the company. I mean, the company needs to make it work. They have no choice. But for the clients and for their and for their company, because I feel Anthropic was built for the token matching era, and
Yeah.
that's over since February, right? Like
Exactly.
basically, Anthropic was amazing during the token matching era when we could do whatever we wanted. It was like it was the CFO nightmare, but the CFO was on a holiday just for a month, and then he came back, and then he was like, "Guys, now we got to stop." Right? It is
Right.
not fun at all. So now I feel like the model that everybody wants is the subscription, right? And Anthropic is still stuck in February, trying to use usage based, trying to give us all the reasons in the world. They told us in June, you are not going to be able to use your subscription anymore. Did not work. Now they say to us, our best model is going to be available only usage based pricing. Did not work. I'm sure after the 12 it will still be in the subscription. They are not going to remove it. It's just going to stay there.
So this is what you think, and I don't disagree with you either.
Yeah.
But it brings up this question of then like, why are they nickel and diming themselves to death by saying, we'll give you 5 more days? Because I don't think that some sort of multi-day promotional extension for this is going to serve as and some kind of buffer for them on the operational side. Do you know what I mean? I
Sure,
just
no.
don't think that buffer is going to work anymore.
And this is part of the problem, is that the trust
Completely.
from the public towards Anthropic is going away. Is just going away because everybody knows what's going on, right? Like people see things, right? Like people are not stupid, right? And people already see that there is so many announcements from Anthropic that don't happen. And so when Anthropic say something, now people believe it less and less and less and less. Like actually, you can see my comments on their post where last night they announced that
Be nice.
that Fable was included until July 12. I said you can say it now that you will leave Fable 5 in the subscription plan. It's okay. We understand. So that's what I said. And when you look at all the other comments, like I didn't do any sentiment analysis on all the comments, but on most of them, people are like, yeah, we know it's just going to stay there. So why you don't just say that, basically, right?
Yeah. So the other thing they're
And
doing though, Martin, when they do this is because they're creating some instability, they're creating this like transition window where people that may not have as much confidence as you that they're actually going to extend their extension are just going to bite the bullet and switch.
That's exactly the point. I totally agree with you. And so that's why I think this is actually participating to Anthropic losing money. Because of all of this craziness, people just go to OpenAI. That's it, right? And
Yeah.
OpenAI is playing the perfect game right now, which is not making mistakes. That's it, right? Like they are not doing anything crazy, but they don't make any don't make any mistakes. So that's great. They launch models. They say it's gonna be in the subscription. They don't make anything crazy. There is no crazy announcement. And I think right now they are getting all the serious clients of Anthropic who are just so fed up of all the unclarity and the impossibility to actually predict what my budget is, what's gonna look like in the next 2 months. Like basically real business, right? Like real business have real needs. And with Anthropic, you can't plan anything. And that's horrible for every business in the world.
So who are, and again, it's a rhetorical question. I won't make you answer it, but for both Anthropic and for OpenAI, their biggest, in their own minds, their biggest customer growth is with corporates,
Yes.
not with
100%.
individuals per se.
Yeah.
They can have as many individuals out there that they want, but like I pay a $20 subscription. They want someone to pay 200 or pay usage based. But here's the thing. Again, corporations are looking, they're having meetings right now and they're just going, okay, look, is Fable, some dude walks in on Monday morning, is Fable 5 available or not? Is it going to be available? They say now until the 12th. Not good enough for me. What are we doing? Let's take a vote. And I'm speed ramping this up a little bit, right? But it's like, let's take a vote. Should we just switch to OpenAI, bite the bullet there, get everybody a subscription? That stuff, they've given us no indication that they're going to have limits on the stuff that we do there. And even though we've been an Anthropic house up until now,
Exactly.
everybody here can use Codex, right? And everybody raises their hand and then they switch. And they're still losing money. But again, they're laughing because they're taking business away from Anthropic. And because corporate customers want more than anything else, predictability and just understanding, are the tools that I'm using that I've already integrated, this whole tool chain that I've integrated into my systems, is it going to be available tomorrow? And if it's not, what am I doing?
Yeah, because
Right?
like any serious business will never implement anything that's important without being sure that in 3 months it's still here. It makes
That
no
was the
sense,
biggest problem with
right?
most
Like,
startups didn't understand in the
exactly.
insurance and
True.
insurtech space. They were like,
True.
we have this
Good point.
whiz bang thing. And they're like, yeah, but you're not making any money. I don't know if you're going to be here in 3 weeks.
And then I don't work with you.
I can't work with you because I can't. If you go away, how do I sell that to my shareholders? Like, I thought these guys were gonna. Did you pay them anything? No, we did a proof of concept with them, and it was free. And it's just like, but again, that's what's happening here. And I think that
This is such a perfect example. Yeah. But so
and I
that's why,
think
like,
if you look at, sorry, go ahead.
how can they miss that so much? Like, Michael, I mean,
I
we
don't know.
work
You and I we're just like two idiots on the
exactly.
internet. You know what I mean?
I mean,
we're more than that, but you know what I mean, right?
we talk to corporate every day. Like we can see from our experience. I mean, my point is like it's not that hard to see.
No,
You know, like
figure that out early.
if you just speak to a couple of corporate clients, you will really quickly see that they need stability, right? Like they need to be able to have an idea of what's going on in 3 months, in 2 years even. Like they need a 5-year plan. They don't need a 2 weeks plan, right? So how do you help them navigate that? I think once again that I think they thought Anthropic probably more than OpenAI that they were too strong and they could just force everybody to their own world, because at the beginning of the year there was a lot of FOMO about implementing AI and agentic AI. So maybe like the corporates were kind of okay to break a few rules just because of the FOMO, you know. But then that just lasted one month during the total matching error, and then the CFO went back from holiday, and then that was the end of the party. And I feel like Anthropic is still stuck there. They still believe they can force everybody because they think they have the best tech, because they think they have the best product, which is true. That's the crazy part. It's true. But when you have the best product, what you do on the business side really matters as well. I think that's the biggest lesson here for me, is that even when you have the best product, you can't do whatever you want on the business side. You get to manage your business the proper way. You get to manage your clients the proper way. Because if you don't, you're gonna lose a market share to people who may be less good than you, but who take care of their client much better. And I think this is the biggest learning from me here, from a business standpoint, is that the best product is not enough at all.
Never is. And there's one more thing. There's another thing actually that both you and I have left out of the mix for today, but we've mentioned in the past. But I want to kind of run through this. You're Anthropic. You're Dario Amodei in December. You're annualizing $9 billion of revenue. And it's kind of out of nowhere. Right? So it looks really good. And then you wake up in March and you look at all you've done, way more sales, way more stuff. The automated coding thing is really taking off. It's taking off everywhere. And you're starting to feel really good about your business. And now you wake up in March and you're annualizing $30 billion of revenue. You're not getting 30 billion, but just annualized. If you take the number that you made in February, whatever it is, and extrapolate it out to December, it's going to be $30 billion on a year-to-year basis. Yeah. And then OpenAI raises $122 billion and everyone starts talking about their IPO.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, we don't need the money. And you say it out loud to people, we don't need the money. But then investors start calling you and going, we're going to give you money because we want to make money on your IPO. And you're feeling big. Because now you see some stats that say, well, from March to April, we increased from $30 billion annually, or maybe it's to May, it doesn't really matter, to 45 billion. And you're like, we're on fire and we're going to IPO. And by the time we get off this IPO train, it's not going to matter anymore.
And plus that the IPO window may have closed, right?
But I'm not saying yet before we get to the IPO window closing, I'm just saying like, that's what they were thinking in March and April and in May. And this was, again, hubris is it's gonna kill any company. But the idea that like we're now speed running into an IPO, everybody wants us to IPO. Investors have come and given us money to do this IPO. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. SpaceX is going to do their IPO. It's not going to take all the oxygen out of the market. We're going to go next. And then they wake up one day and they're like, oh, we're bleeding money and we're not increasing our revenue.
Yeah.
And we can't really be as loud as we were before.
And we have no idea how to do marketing differently because that's all we know how to do.
Right. So you put all these things together and then the specter of this IPO is out there. And now that's going away. And you're just thinking, oh no, now we have real problems. Because you said it last night. All you hear is crickets. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Yep. And no, so that's why I'm really I really wonder. So first of all, I think Fable is gonna stay into our plans because they have no choice. Nobody's gonna pay for the usage-based pricing. Way too expensive. They're just gonna use the OpenAI GPT-5.6. And that's it. And so everything will go back to normal in a week, maybe. Like, how long is it going to take for Anthropic to actually announce that they are going to leave Fable inside the subscription? I really don't know why they're still doing this type of stuff. It makes no sense.
But back to normal means what? What is normal though?
Means like just Fable is included into the subscription forever. No more like until that date and then it goes to the API, you know? Just like it's just included. That's it. Like just that. And also like, there was a lot of people who complained on X, and I really understand them, saying because Fable was included until last night, then they used all the token that they could, all the usage, all the limit that they could until last night. And then Anthropic was like, actually, no, we give you 5 more days, but they didn't reset the limits. So which means for all of these people who used it at the maximum they could, basically, and by the way, with zero intention to buy the API after. This is the crazy thing.
Exactly. They wanted to use all their air miles before they expired so they could go to Rome, right? I mean, that's exactly what they did. And then the airline was like, oh, we extended that until next year. And you're like,
exactly.
My daughter's getting married next year. Why didn't you tell me that yesterday? I would have saved that mileage for that.
Exactly. And so that's the first thing. People are mad about this. And plus, this market, all of these people have no intention of paying for the API price. This is what really blew my mind, is that at the end of the day, they are creating so much friction. They are creating so much problem. They are creating so much uncertainty to try to sell a Ferrari to Toyota buyers. Right? It feels to me that, you know, everybody is ready to buy a Toyota. They have the budget for that. They have the money for that. And they try to sell you a Ferrari. They give you 1 week and then they hope that you are going to upgrade. No, this is just
No
not
one's gonna
going
do
to
that.
happen, right?
No one's
Like
gonna do
even
that.
if people have the money, even if people love the Ferrari, even if everything you want, this is just not what people have budgeted. And plus, if your Ferrari has like like fluctuating price, every time you use it, you have to pay for it, compared to your Toyota that you just pay one time and then you can use it forever. This is just much, much better for a lot of businesses around the world. And I feel like that's what Anthropic is trying to do. I don't understand why they keep doing that. They should have stopped last month when they didn't upgrade for the subscription. This
Yeah.
should have been their wake-up calls. The market has changed. We
Actually,
are not
you've
in
just
the
you've just introduced a really great
yeah.
analogy here. Can I
Go
join
ahead.
in?
Yes, go ahead.
I go down to a car leasing place. I can't afford to buy a Ferrari. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go down to a car leasing place and they're like, okay, no problem. You can lease a Ferrari for $1,000 a month if you sign a 7-year lease.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, no problem. If I can afford $1,000, that's what a Lexus would normally cost me, and I can afford a Lexus.
Mm-hmm.
If I lease a Lexus for 3 years, I can do for $1,000. I'll just extend it out for 4 more years, and now I get a Ferrari, no problem. And then after a year of driving that Ferrari, you pay $1,000. You've done what you said you were going to do. You've paid it. You've taken care of it. You have the insurance. They're like, from now on, every mile you drive in that Ferrari, you have to pay for.
Yeah.
And that price is $200 a mile. And you're like, but I have a contract that says it says I can drive it whenever I want, wherever I want for $1,000 a month. You're like, yeah, but that's okay. We'll give you 2 more months like that. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And then every month they give
And
you
then all
one
you
more
do is
month.
drive your Ferrari. You drive it off a cliff. Do you know what I mean? And you're like,
Yes, and every month they say, okay, one more month, and then one more month, and after 3 years, you go to them like, guys, can you just tell me that's forever now, right? Like it's been 3 years, you just give me one more month, right?
but then just brings up this real question of like, do you want these models to be broadly available? Or do you just, and like, what's the balance between like this broad availability and the trusted availability that it's just going to be there forever?
Yep. So
at any price. Do you know what I mean? So you just know that it's going to be there, because here's the other problem that we haven't spoken about, but I think these two things are combined, is Fable 5 is fine. But what if Anthropic, their relationship with any administration in the United States gets worse? And let's say Fable 6 comes out and it's just like 10 times more terrifying than Fable 5.
Yeah.
Well, then how long is that? Because Fable 5 was out for 19 days. And then it came back in limited release, and now it's coming back going, it's a maybe, like, how are you going to pay for it? And I'm just skipping to Fable 6. I'm sure there's going to be 5.1 and 5.2, whatever. Let's say we get to 6 and they're like, this one is terrifying. Well, then what's the stability around it?
Yeah.
And can I throw one more monkey wrench into this thing?
Go.
The crutch for all of this 2 days ago, or in the middle of last week, let's say, was what? It was, that's fine. We'll just use the open source models.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you had China again exercise it, just because I think all these things are related, Martin. You tell me if you think I'm wrong.
No, it's all related right now. Right now, like they are really destroying the capabilities of Anthropic and OpenAI to IPO. This is what's going on right now. Like they are just like attacking from every angle.
But it's even more than that, right? Because they're literally removing their ability to do business, and for corporations to actually use AI in a way that's effective and efficient for them, because they're literally sitting there thinking in meetings now. In the old days, it was like, again, back in February, March, it was like, okay, we'll get everybody a $200 a month subscription. It'll make them way more efficient. We'll get way more code written. Everything's going to be better. And then they're like, okay, now it's going to be usage based. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, no.
What's our budget? Like, we don't know. Oh, I have a better idea. For the simple stuff, we'll just use the open source models. And that's not going to be, because DeepSeek and Kimi and all these other models, they're really, really good, and they're getting better and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, you can't do that anymore because the Chinese government could be restricting access to them for guys just like you. So now you don't have the stability of using your sort of backup methodology of using the open source models from anywhere in the world, to be fair. And you don't know what you're going to pay for Anthropic anymore. And OpenAI sitting on the sidelines going, maybe they'll all go bankrupt and we'll be fine.
No, it's true. I mean, this is really
No.
not helping AI adoption, right? Like this is really making everything so much more complicated for nothing. Really, at the end of the day, there is nothing. At the end of the day, Fable is going to stay into the subscription. We are going to keep our subscription. Nothing is going to change at all, right? And so, why do we do all of this craziness? That's really why I really want to ask that to the Anthropic team.
Well, that's what I texted you today. I was like, I literally wrote you, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? Like, what is the point of all of this? And so my assumption is that Anthropic is doing that because this is the only marketing they know, and that's their playbook. And yeah, that's the only thing that they know how to do, and they are completely delusional because they believe the market is still following that. We are still in early 2026, but unfortunately, the market has moved. Like really, people do not care about these things anymore. And
What do you think the overall impact is going to be on this globe? Because you had kind of like an arms race going on, literally between these frontier models in the United States and the open source models in China. Those were the two big players. You have
yeah,
Mistral in Europe as well, which is great. But I feel like they're a little bit out of the conversation. I wonder sometimes what happened to Perplexity. I'm perplexed about this because at the beginning of the year, we would talk about OpenAI, we'd talk about Anthropic and Perplexity. We just stopped talking about those guys. I don't know why. But I'm just curious what you think all of this noise, what the impact of all this noise is going to be on the overall market globally as well, right? Because are the open source models in China going to still be getting developed as fast as they are right now? And are they going to overtake the models in the US? Are the US models going to go open source as well? And then they're going to have to completely reinvent what their business models are and the impact of that on their IPOs, on their valuations, and on the products that they offer out there.
yeah. Yeah, no, so I think first of all that the Chinese model are not going to restrict access to everyone in the world. They may restrict to the US.
Go
This
ahead.
is a possibility, or the US themselves ban them. I think this is still possible. This is still something that we need to consider. Then the second thing that I think is Amazon, at least them, Google, Microsoft, if any big thing like this happen, okay, like something like the Chinese model cannot be sold anymore in the US for any reason, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft will go to the table. I call them the big brothers, and they will force OpenAI and Anthropic to open source just to save their business. Because Amazon will want to be able to sell AI. They will want to be able to sell compute, and they don't want to be dependent on this type of craziness from the model provider. So they will force them to give them access to the model. But that's for sure that all of this uncertainty, all of this instability, I don't think helps for AI adoption at scale in the US at least, right? Like outside of the US, I think it's fine. I don't think people are really concerned about what's going on to them with the Chinese outside of the US. In Asia, I don't think anyone fear that they are going to lose access to DeepSeek, right? Like, I don't think this is like a real fear from people out here.
Yep, maybe not.
Yeah, so I think this is really like a US based. And so that's why I feel like it's just going to probably create some delay in the AI adoption in the next couple of months because of all of this uncertainty, which may thankfully push for more clarity and more stability moving forwards, because the US doesn't want to lose too much competitive edge across like against the rest of the world. And so if the rest of the world can use AI, can implement AI, can use the Chinese models, and in the US it's so much more complicated, it's not going to stay too complicated for long. I think they will settle this, and one of the solutions could be go open source and let Amazon, Microsoft, and Google manage the business.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
another mitigating factor that we haven't talked about today. So what's the difference between Fable 5 and Mythos 5? And that difference is that Fable 5 has some guardrails around it, yeah?
Yes, true.
But what are the guardrails around 5.6 in GPT?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And here's the other thing, Martin. We talked about this too, but I want to point this out again. Fable 5 still potentially, without telling you, falls back to 4.8 in cases where it feels like if
Yes.
you're going to do something nefarious or something bad, it's like, yeah, that's not possible here. We're going to put you down to 4.8. But again, this is just from a communication standpoint. Does GPT 5.6 downgrade to GPT 5.5 or 5.0 if it feels like you're doing something bad? Like, I've seen nothing on that. Have
I've
you?
seen nothing on that as well.
But you
Let
understand
us
my
know.
point, though, right?
Yeah,
There's so much bad stuff going on with Anthropic, and they're giving in on all these fronts. It's like,
that's
again,
that's the same playbook. It's too dangerous to be used. We have to restrict you. 5 months ago, it was working. T- Today, it's not. Today, because today people do not understand. There is no logic. It's not justified anymore. This type of stuff, right? So that's why I think,
right.
and Anthropic more than everything, they lost the trust battle in the last 4 months. Now every time they do something, we doubt it. We are not sure. We think they are going to change for everything they do and everything they say. And this is really not good. That when your clients, when your user do not trust what you say, like I mean, how many times I've said on the podcast that the subscription is not going away on June 15th, right? And like
Yeah, of course.
I
You
was
said it
sure
tons of
it was
times.
it was not going to go away. Now Fable is going to stay included. I mean, if this is true, if this really happen, like next time they say something, I can say basically that it's not going to happen again, right? And this is
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
this is the crazy thing. I think they really lost the trust of the user base, of the public, and this is the most problematic, especially if you want the IPO, because you want the trust, you want people to be behind you. And unfortunately, I feel, because they don't change, I feel that that's the only thing they know how to do. They don't have a big plan for the marketing, for the communication. The only thing they know how to do is this, and they stuck in February, basically, unfortunately.
What do you think this means for like government involvement in this stuff going forward, and not just the U.S. government, obviously, because the Chinese government is getting involved as well. What do you
Yeah.
think this says about this? Because they're both doing sort of export control,
Mhm.
and you and I have both spoken about this online. It's like it's hard to do it with software, particularly the way software is distributed today. In the old days, like you literally, if you wanted a pirated copy of Microsoft Windows, you had to go to New York, go to some software selling store, buy the discs
Mhm.
or the CDs or the DVDs, and then copy them when you got back to China or Japan or wherever, right?
Mhm.
But now it's like once the models get released out there, I know you have to run them somewhere. Like I get that, but still, like restricting the movement of software is just so much harder than it is in bits and bytes than it would be if it was on physical devices.
Yeah, like look, they have been able to smuggle NVIDIA chips to China, right? Like so one
Yeah.
piece of software seems so much more simple. So sure, like it's like a couple of terabytes of data, right, that you need to put somewhere, but still it's not like it's not impossible, right?
What do
So
you think this means going forward?
yeah, to be honest, I really still don't have an opinion on that. Like, I think government are going to be more involved. I think this is the direction that we are going in, right? Like, I don't think that if they got involved for Mythos and Fable, if they got involved for 5.6, at least in the US, China is also starting to be involved into the model release.
Mm-mm-mm.
I think this is now that's almost established. Now they are there, right? Like they got in. Now they are
But now they're gonna
moving
have to be
away.
involved for every release, it seems
Yes, I
like to me.
think
No,
now
they're
they
not
are.
gonna give
Yeah,
up and be
yeah,
like, okay, this one's so
exactly.
dangerous, we just throw our
Exactly.
hands up in the air, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So I think now we are at the point where the government is involved. They are not leaving it, and for every next model, they are going to have a say. So how does that look like? Are they creating the AI organization, right? Like, are they creating something to just really create rules and at least a process of like, okay,
I
if you want to
feel like no, though.
if you want to release a model that goes through that route, I don't know. I don't know. And then what happens also to the open source model? What happens to the fine tuning of the model that we could do? What if I want to create my own model for my own company? Like all the other stuff basically that people are building. Because here we talked a lot about Anthropic, OpenAI, and the use of open source models, but there's a lot of, once again, like people building different things, like AI on device, like all the fine tuning as well of the model. Like there's other ways to actually use AI and to benefit from AI. So where does that fit as well, right? Like if you do AI on device that is fine-tuned with your own data, so then you have a model that's customized to you, does that also need to get approved? Like it seems unlikely, right? Like
Yeah.
so it looks like it's going to get much more complicated, but it's all because of OpenAI and Anthropic. I think like this is just themselves who made their life so much harder. If they had focused on the product, their product is good. And I've been saying that for months with OpenAI
Months.
first. With OpenAI first, I was like, guys, just stop talking, focus on your product. It's good, just do that. And now Anthropic should do the exact same thing. Focus on your product. That's it. It's good. Get market share. Like make money the normal way, which is build a product and get clients who want to pay for it. That's how you make a business. That's it. There is no other way, right? This is the basis, business 101.
And if you don't have a product that people are willing to pay for, find a product that people
Exactly,
like
then
make
build one, iterate, tell to clients, improve your product. There's a lot of things that you can do, but make something that people want to buy. Basically, that's it.
So
And then
I
start
think you're
else.
less interested in this part of the conversation, but I want to bring it up as well
Yeah,
because I want your
go ahead.
opinion.
Mhm.
We talked about this yesterday as well, that NVIDIA was running a really nice business in China. It was 20% of their revenue.
Yes.
It was a big business for them. And then the US government came over and was like, yeah, you can't do that anymore
Mhm.
because it's too risky. And then they're like, okay, you can create chips specifically for China, but those chips were like underpowered. And the Chinese were like, okay, we're going to make our own chips. But what does it do for companies like Cerebras, which just had that are building functionally very different chips, but are either as powerful or more powerful, particularly in the place where people want this power now, which is in the inference side of the business, not in the training side of the business. Yeah.
Yes.
Are their chips automatically now banned from being in
Yeah.
China, or because they don't say NVIDIA in the etchings on them, that now suddenly, oh, that's fine. It says Cerebras, no ban for, no ban for them.
And what about Jalapeno from OpenAI? Like, what about tomorrow they start selling their chips to other people as well,
Or
including the Chinese? Like, what does that look like, right? So
yeah. And then also remember that all of Apple's devices, not all of them, because some of them are made in India, but most of Apple's devices are manufactured in China. So their chips are also in China. And if their M7 chips and their A20, whatever chips are
this is
being built specifically to run
the
AI,
most
you
funny
don't think
part.
some of those are going to somehow escape from a Foxconn factory into the hands of like
This is the
Huawei?
most funny part. You don't want Nvidia to sell chips to China, but Apple build all their chips to in China, and then they
And then you
do like
manufacture
balls.
in China. It's like, these things you can't, don't look over there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like the whole thing seems really stupid to me.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. And also like Michael, what happens when Huawei or DeepSeek makes chips that are so good and so cheap that the US wants to buy them?
Cannot
Like,
do it. Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
what happened here? But also
What level of stupidity are we dealing with now?
what happened, Michael, also when it's not AMD who launched a computer or Nvidia who launched a computer that's
Lenovo.
$5,000, but it's Lenovo. What do we do? What happens at this moment when Lenovo say we have a $2,500 supercomputer that can run the latest model of DeepSeek locally because we subsidize it, and we have a new chip made by DeepSeek that runs into the computer itself. What do we do at this point, right? And it's not impossible. I mean, it's not possible now, but in the next 12 months, that's very possible that this type of stuff start to happen. So
Right. And you know what brand Lenovo owns?
tell me.
ThinkPad.
Yeah, paper.
It's an old IBM brand. I mean, they bought it years ago now, but I mean, these computers are freely available in the United States.
Yes.
Now you're not you, but now one is suggesting that like if these get chips in them that allow you to do on device
Yes.
AI, now you can't buy Lenovo in the United States because it's made in China, and somehow that like goes back to the China. But today is perfectly fine.
Exactly. No, but this
But
is
like,
doing
does anything make any sense to you or not?
this is going to be the next problem. Today we don't talk enough about on-device AI because it's not there yet. But once again, they're putting a lot of money into that. That could happen in the next 12 months. If it happens, it's going to be that we are going to ask the question of what if Lenovo subsidize the computer, sell it at the cost, and runs on Chinese chips.
Right.
What happened at this moment? Hello, Max. Very nice to have you again today. But yeah, but I think that and to me, this is a much larger problem. That
For sure.
if we move the conversation from the models that's starting to be commoditized, so that's like we already see a lot of people using something else than OpenAI and Anthropic. But if tomorrow on-device AI happens and now we have a problem with Lenovo, it's a much bigger problem. Now we are talking like about something much larger.
Yeah, and can we make the point that it's not an if for on-demand AI?
Mm-hmm.
It's a when.
You mean on device AI?
On device, excuse me, not
Yes,
on
yes,
demand.
yes,
On
yes.
device AI. It's
It's
not
a
it's
when.
not a it's not an if, it's a when.
Yes.
Because it's just a result of like getting better compute, getting more efficient chips on the device, and then making the models like more efficient. I mean, there are a bunch of things that have to go into it.
Yes.
But again, humans have been really good at going, that's impossible to do on that device too. Well, I can't believe we're not doing that on the device right now,
Mhm,
kind of
mhm,
thing,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
So to me, that's again, in a way, it makes these arguments seem really short term.
Yes.
Like
It's
all the pricing that Anthropic is going through, all the sort of Sturm and Drang
exactly.
and back and forth. And remember, Martin, OpenAI has said they're trying to develop their own. They call it a phone, but it's really like a mobile computing device, yeah.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
And maybe part of the reason why they're doing that is because part of they're also building some of their own chips.
mhm.
I remember Facebook is building chips with ARM, and ARM chips go into phones. I'm just saying that like maybe there's on device strategy for OpenAI too, which is why they're just sitting on the sidelines laughing about subscription numbers.
And which would be great. I would be so happy to hear about this, right? Like I really think these labs needs to diversify their activities, right? We don't know
Yeah,
who's gonna make money in AI in 5 years, so try everything, right? Like use the 130 billion that you raised, try a lot of things, and so the one thing that's gonna work, at least you will be involved, right? So that's really how I think about it.
it is.
And yeah, no, like on device AI is not an if, it's a when. And Apple does that, Microsoft does that. We get better chips. So yeah, what happens when we're gonna have a Lenovo computer, $2,500?
Yeah, and again, don't count Facebook or Meta out of
Yeah,
this
no.
equation either,
Mm,
because they have for years been trying to build a device business themselves.
yeah,
Amazon as well has been trying to build a device business. They
true,
have all of
true,
their
true,
Alexa
true.
things. I hope I didn't trigger any of them just now. Um, but again,
Mhm.
with all the orchestration that they do with their Bedrock business and with
Yeah,
their knowledge in the device business, they also tried to launch a Fire phone. This is it feels like 100 years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. All of these things are possibilities now, and it just depends like which one of them plays out.
yeah.
We don't have an answer to that, do we?
No, we have no answer to that exactly. But also, I think, like Matthew, like to your point, just before, was really interesting to me is that everything seems so short term. Like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
decision, every action is not an action actually.
And every
It's
reaction.
it's a reaction to something, right? It looks like they like for example when they launched Codex and Cloud Code as well, it was in reaction to OpenClaw. They never saw it coming. Like really, like you had
I
to
know,
wait for
I know.
OpenClaw to launch and take over the world. And then you do something as well, like really like in the next 2 months. Like this is really the window that we are talking about here, right? We are talking about a reaction window of like 2 weeks to 2 months. It's insane when you think about it. There is no long-term planning. There is no 2 years plan, no 6 month plan. No. There is a reaction plan within 2 months. I find it crazy.
This is even more interesting, Mark, because these are businesses that are run by guys and gals that have done such a good job of convincing people that they're the right people to run these businesses. I mean, remember back in February, Sam Altman, I think it was in February of this year, Sam Altman was almost kicked out of OpenAI, and he was like, I'm the only guy that can do this. It's kind of a megalomaniacal response to this.
Yes, yes,
But
yes,
the
yes,
idea
yes,
of
yes.
I'm the only one that can solve this is heavily,
Yeah.
deeply like psychopathic and
Mhm.
narcissistic. But also, are they really the best people to do this if they can't anticipate these little things that, again, you and I
Completely.
can't anticipate,
And
that
Convey,
Max can anticipate? You know what I mean? And people just on the outside can look around and go, hey, how come they didn't see this orchestration thing coming?
exactly, and Convey have some sort of vision for the future, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they Michael, the biggest miss that they did was the compute. Like really, like why
I know, I know, I know.
nobody, why
I know.
nobody, why Sam Altman? Like really, I think that's all not Sam. That's all on OpenAI. Why OpenAI did not invest into compute when Elon Musk was doing it? Like really, like Elon was with them. He left. He built compute. You don't think you should do the same thing, right? Like, and then Dario leaves, and also he doesn't do any compute. I feel like it's insane that nobody was like, guys, we are going to have a problem if our idea works, if we are
Right.
successful the way we want to be successful, we will need compute. We should build it right now. Nobody said that. I think that's insane. So that's the first thing. Second, the AI agent works. So I think, and then also, so yeah, so the AI agents start to be working. OpenCloud take over the world. They launch their own orchestrator, which really shows that they have no clue what to do with their models. They have
No.
no vision. Like they launched ChatGPT in 2022, November 2022. I'm still convinced they had no idea what to do with it. Use the API, build your own thing. They launched Sonnet 4, like 4 point something. That was the first one that was really good for agentic coding. They didn't even know agentic coding was possible. So that's why they were not ready with Cloud Code and Codex and all of these things. They waited for Peter to show them, basically, right? And
Peter.
I really wonder why they have no vision like that. Like why they are always talking about the problems, about like the
So I think this gets back to what I was talking about earlier, Martin.
Mhm. Okay.
They were building these companies to get rich,
Yeah. This
and their
actually
whole
foolish
focus was
connection.
on the IPO, and it didn't
Yes.
matter. The orchestration part wasn't going to be a big money spinner for them.
Yes, it's possible.
So
It's
they've just
possible, yeah.
focused on the IPO. Now, this is why I think that they're literally sitting in meetings now going, well, now what do we do? Because our speed run to an IPO feels like, again, as you said, like the window closed on that.
Mm.
It's like they've run into a wall, and now I'm not saying they've run out of ideas, but they've stopped implementing those ideas in a way that is going to turn into revenue.
Exactly. So that's why, like, maybe Michael, like, let's do a crazy bet. Maybe both Sam Altman and Dario are going to leave the companies because maybe they were the guy for the speedrun to IPO, but now the next
That's a
guy
really
that
good
we
point.
need, now the guy that we need is a visionary, is somebody who can see what the next 5 to 10 years of AI look like, and can actually build and prepare for that. And for me, so far, none Anthropic or OpenAI has been able to show me that they are ready and they have any idea of what AI in 5 years or 10 years would look like. I think Amazon really have an idea. Like that's why they do Bedrock. That's why they implement all the Chinese model. That's
Mhm.
why they do the FD. That's why they get ready. That's why they build chip. They do data centers. They do space. Amazon. Like they do everything. Amazon, right? Like they're just everywhere. And so in case something works, then they are going to be there. That's what you should do right now. And maybe we're gonna see both Sam Altman and Dario leave in the near future to be replaced by somebody who has some sort of vision and was able to build the next phase.
So I like to say that like
Mm.
history does not repeat itself, but it
Mhm,
definitely rhymes.
mhm.
Don't leave yet because this is important.
Tell me.
You just made a really great point about like sometimes the original CEO is not the right person to bring the company through the IPO.
Yeah,
So do we have precedent for this
tell me.
recently?
Mhm.
In fact, we do. Travis Kalanick, who was a visionary at some level when it came to building Uber,
Okay.
started being a bit of a nightmare as the CEO. And he was a little bit of a lightning rod where people are like, this guy is not responsible enough and blah, blah, blah. You could make the equivalency that he's just like Sam Altman.
Okay.
And what did they do? Well, they replaced him with a guy named Dara Khosrowshahi. I can't pronounce his name. I don't think you can either. And he was the guy who led the company through the IPO.
Mm.
And now no one complains about Uber anymore in the same way that they did before, where they like
Good
had
point.
God mode and all this other stuff,
Mm.
because Travis was the wrong person. He was the right person to build this thing and create this thing from scratch with his partners, but he was definitely the wrong person to get them into an adult stage of running a business that was actually robust and could go through
Such a
an
good
IPO.
point. Such a good point. I feel to me that we are in exactly the same situation right now.
Yeah, yeah,
They were maybe good for V1 to get the model out of there, right? But now that it's actually getting much more complicated, and you missed so many things. Like they don't build computer, they don't build compute, they don't build data centers, that they do nothing. They just do the models. Now we need somebody with a little bit more business knowledge, I think.
right.
Mhm.
And again, it's always good. Like when this guy Dara took over,
Mhm.
I wouldn't say Uber was a mess. It was still growing, but it wasn't as well organized as it is now. And remember, Dara was, before he joined Uber, he was the CEO of Expedia, which is kind of like a boring
Mhm.
online travel company.
But
But
it's
part of running a boring company means that all the processes and procedures are in
exactly.
place and everything's kind of okay.
Plus, it's a low margin, high volume business, which are really hard to operate, right? Like you
Yep.
really need to be super efficient everywhere. So When you do that, you know what you're doing on the business side.
Exactly, because to run a low margin business in a way that's profitable and sustainable, you have to be really good at business management. And
Yes, yes.
again, there's some real question as to whether Sam Altman, because we can go back to February and all the articles that were written about him and all the gunfire, like all these other little distractions that were there.
Yeah.
Is he the right guy to actually take this company to the next phase?
Yeah.
And I think the jury's out on that. If you look at the chat, they're saying that, and we made this point, but the question, Max, is not like, did they bet everything on the models? The question is why? Why? Why with all, and they must have more information than you have, and they must have more information than Martin and I have as well. Why would they sit inside their kind of ivory towers and say, these models are going to be the be all and end all? Like, and again, I would ask the question that Martin asked before, like, they were definitely were surprised by the orchestration, but were they really surprised by DeepSeek when it came out in January 2025? And they're still a year and a half later, still surprised, like, oh my God, there's open source models out there. It's like, there's gambling going on in here. Like, have they never seen the movie Casablanca? Like, what are we doing?
But like I think Max is right in the V1 of AI. They bet everything on the model
They did.
alone to speedrun the IPO. And we just speedrun to the IPO with the model alone, and that's how I see that, right? Like they are just going to go once again to speedrun the IPO on doing just the model, and they think it's going to be enough because by the time they IPO, we are not going to be yet in a market that shows that the model itself is not enough. And that's why I think the window for IPO is closing, because these bets every day that passes gets like more and more wrong, basically, right? That
yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about this. I'm not going to say the window for the IPO is closing. I'm going to say for the window for the IPO has closed.
Yeah, it's highly possible, right? And so right now you cannot, I mean, you could successfully do the speedrun to IPO, I think, from my point of view, like maybe until a month ago. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe until a month ago. Even just after SpaceX, I think it was possible. But now it's really, really bad with all the. I think since GLM 5.2, it was like the beginning of the end, I think. Because it was really the first model that showed that we could do as good or better for much cheaper. And that was like a tiny DeepSeek moment. But it just, and then since then, it just went like even worse and worse and worse and worse absolutely every day. And then, yes, on the idea that Anthropic may get into drug production, I think it's drug discovery. If I'm not wrong, like they want to use their model to actually discover new drugs. So actually, like look at that. I think there's two ways to look at this from my point of view. The first one is they failed at getting the farms lab to actually use Anthropic to as a client. So they say, okay, we're just going to do it ourselves, which is like a typical strategy, right? Like if you build something and you believe it's so good at doing something, but people don't want to use it, then you just use it yourself to get the benefit yourself. So that's why I think you can say that, okay, they are going into drug discovery themselves, just to say, okay, look, we believe our model is good enough for that. Nobody wants to buy it from us for that, so we're just going to do it ourselves. I think that's the first way that we could look at this. The second way we could look at this is that they expand their line of product using their own thing as well. So they say like, look, we are not going to chips, we are not going to data centers, we are not going to all of these different business lines in AI. Instead, we are going to do applied AI. We are going to use our knowledge, our models to actually impact over industries by ourselves. So they may get into real estate, insurance. Like they just launched a lot of different businesses themselves optimizing with AI, which made me think about the bending spoon conversation we had. Like if we go one step further, they could acquire companies, let's say below $20 billion, okay, that are tech businesses where the Anthropic team, who is amazing at AI, can implement AI and make the business way more profitable, way more efficient. If they do something like that.
so can I because while you were making some great points, I was banging on my keyboard.
Yeah, tell us.
Anthropic employs somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000 people. Let's go to the top
Okay.
end. Let's say they employ 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Most of them are working on actually building models, testing models, and understanding inference. Not all of them are chemical engineers that understand how drugs get built. Let's just put that to the side. Pfizer, which is just a big global drug company, has 75,000 employees. So 15 times more employees. And they spend $10 billion a year on new drug research.
Okay.
Now maybe that's inefficient. Maybe they should only spend $5 billion a year on R&D. But if a drug hits at Pfizer, maybe it makes $5 billion a year. But the idea that Anthropic is just going to rock up and like start making better drugs this year or next year than Pfizer, to me seems just insane.
Without Pfizer experience, without
Yeah.
Pfizer data, without
with
Pfizer
and without
R&D
Pfizer's
team.
distribution channel, without the salespeople, without the chemical engineers. Like, sure, you can have a model that says like have a drug that cures cancer, but like you have to test it.
Yeah.
And have a system for and all this other kind of stuff. Like it's not, you can't just like rock up into this business.
Yes, yeah, and that's true for every business, right? That when you are an outsider and you have no data, no experience, you don't know the market, no distribution, it's always so much harder. So that's why often the easiest route to get into that is to actually acquire a company who have the knowledge, right? Like you acquire a team, like for example, let's say Anthropic acquire Pfizer. That's a different story because they can really merge the two knowledge. And if Anthropic really believes strongly that they can actually make R&D better, faster, more efficient, everything thanks to their AI, now we're talking about a really big potential, right? So actually,
I don't disagree with you. I'm gonna make another point too, because I think it's actually kind of interesting. Let's say let's say Anthropic in this case is the AOL.
okay.
It's just the rocket ship of AI and frontier model labs in the United States.
Okay.
And in the same way that AOL was like, we are the future. We're going to go out and buy Time Warner for $700 gazillion and like get a lot of debt to do that. But because right now you could go buy Pfizer for $138 billion.
Oh, okay.
Pay some kind of premium. That's their market cap today. Maybe you have to pay a 20% premium. So maybe you're paying like 160 or 170.
That's not that crazy, huh?
No, it's not that crazy, but like, where is Anthropic going to get that money? And then what do they do to the 75,000? They fire like half of them. Do you know what I mean? Because now if they feel like we can do research with artificial intelligence and models that are way better than the models that you use for your R&D, we don't need half your employees potentially, right?
But like actually, like this is actually another like crazy idea probably. But like, imagine if that actually works. Okay, like Anthropic discover that they are so good at AI that they can actually branch out to many different industries, like using their own AI knowledge. And basically, like they could say, you know what? No one else has access to our model anymore now. It's closed. It's fully closed. It's only for us. As you say, Mike, we hold all the cards, and then they just use their own research team, their own models to actually then create different type of solution. If something like this happened, like that would be basically the reverse of companies building their own model internally. Here, it would be a public model that become closed for their own benefits. But it's something that don't happen already. A lot of companies have actually tried to build their own models. They're like McKinsey, for example, they invested a lot of money into building their own model internally. So that would be the same end goal, but through different path. I don't think that's gonna happen, but that would be a pretty funny twist in the story.
Give me one more second. I want to get
Yes.
one more piece of data.
Go
And then
ahead.
I want to talk about Time Warner and AOL.
Go ahead. But yeah, I think that would be a pretty funny twist.
I agree.
If we
So
get to the point. Yeah.
So Martin, so the original merger of Time Warner and AOL took place in January of 2000 and was completed in January of 2001.
Okay.
The whole idea here was that the stock price of AOL was so high that was where the story was. The currency was the stock. And the reality was that the promised synergies between like digital distribution and Time Warner's, media business, this just never became an operating reality. It just didn't work, right? And back in the day, you don't remember this, but like the way that most people that used AOL got onto the internet was dial up.
Okay.
They had a modem. So like it
Mhm.
wasn't even fast enough for them to be able to use it. The whole concept was wrong. And it was basically predicated on this idea of our stock is so expensive. Maybe we should go out and buy stuff, which is what SpaceX just did with Cursor.
Yes, 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 yes,
They
yes.
bought it with free money. But at the end of the day, this deal that closed in 2001 was unwound in an unmitigated disaster
Oh, wow. Okay.
in 2009, and AOL was spun off. So AOL did the merger. They bought Time Warner, and in 9 years later or 8 years later, Time Warner was like, "Can we get these guys out of here? Like, I don't care what it costs or what we sell it for. It doesn't matter to us. Just like we're selling AOL."
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I think I think it's a cautionary tale for like going out, buying something with like your really cheap stock currency,
Mhm, mhm.
and buying something in which you don't have a core competency, but you have some tools that may help you look like you have a core competency, and then expect to go out and excel in that.
Yeah, yeah. That's like a different angle to the problem. It's now we're talking like about a finance angle, right? Like you have the business angle, you have the product angle. Like is your product good, right?
Yeah.
Like and do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have clients that want to use it first of all? But then once that's okay, then you have the business angle. Like what do you actually do with your product? How do you price it? How do you market it? How do you do new launches? Because this is also something that Michael we didn't talk about, but for both GPT 5.6 and Fable, and for Fable it's even worse, but the story around the model is really weird, right? Like we don't know exactly why we need these models now. We don't have any problem with GPT 5.5 or Opus 4.8. There is nothing wrong with us, right? So why are we having iPhone 19 in January,
Agreed,
right?
agreed. I was just gonna say the same thing. It's like,
Like
well, I don't need a new iPhone, and if frankly, if I didn't have my camera broken, I wouldn't even think about buying a new one because I don't need one.
exactly, right? Like Apple release strategy of like one phone a year is already a lot, right? Like for
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah,
like Apple, I think is really, really smart. They do a lot of testing in terms of profit optimization, so they know
sure, sure, sure.
what they're doing. So that's probably the best way for them to make a lot of money. But from a client point of view, we don't really need to change our iPhone more than once a year. Here we have GPT 5.6, Fable 5. Not super sure why, not super sure how this is fitting into the user story. So I think
Yeah,
this
I
is
don't
like
understand.
this is like a bad business management to me. And then the third angle that you just mentioned that's actually really interesting is the finance angle, right? Like then you have some people who look at that who have no idea about the product, who are not
Right,
involved into the business, and who are like, can I make money with this thing? If I
right.
give $65 billion to OpenAI at a $965 billion valuation, and I force them to IPO 3 months later at
Right.
1.2, I made 20% of my investment in 3 months. I
And
lied
it's a
that.
big number. It's a big number.
And it's a big number, and I
Yeah.
like that. I'm happy about it. Let's do this thing, right? Like I think this is true. This is also a finance angle where through some mechanism, through some crazy systems, right? Like some people just want to make money, and then the all the rest, all the product, all the clients, all the value, everything is forgotten. We are just talking about people who want to make money and who use these companies basically as like as what, like what's the word, that's just like a way for them to achieve their goal, right? Like without any care about, once again, the clients, the product, and all of these things. I think that's real. I think there's really stuff like that happens.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. And yeah, and that's really a good point, Max. Like once the iPhone batteries are mandatory replaceable, I do definitely won't update every 3 years.
No,
Definitely.
no, because
Definitely.
there's no difference. Like Martin, like you
Yeah.
have what, the 17?
I have a 17 now. After I
And I
had
have a
my
15.
7, I have a 7 for 10 years before.
I mean, I had an iPhone SE before I had this thing. So like I waited a while.
So I'm gonna buy the 28 then. I'm keeping my 17 until 10 years, and then I'm gonna buy the 28.
I'm thinking about the 18, but again, only because my cameras are broken. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't think I really need it.
But yeah, no, I feel like there's so much going on right now with Anthropic and OpenAI that are different than the models themselves and like
Yeah, for sure.
the product itself, which really makes me sad in a way, because once again the product is so good. Why don't we just talk more about the product? And maybe that's a CEO change that is required to actually, you know what, just get rid of all of these things,
Well,
right?
that's
And
the one thing that we
yeah,
didn't talk about before. We talked about if the IPO doesn't happen, you want to make a bet on whether Sam Altman or Dario Amodei, because they're supposed to guide it through this process, and
yeah.
neither one of them have done a good job at this yet.
I think at least Dario. I feel OpenAI Sam may have a little bit more vision, just because it looks
You would.
like
It's what's funny is if this were March or April, you would have said the exact opposite, and so would I.
yes,
And
probably.
so would I. But now
Yes.
I'm leaning towards
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
feels like Anthropic has stepped on a bunch of rakes. Do you know what that means?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Right. It's just hit them right in the face. Boom,
Mhm, mhm,
boom.
mhm, mhm. And it looks like once again they are not talking at all about what's the state of AI in 5 years. Besides, it's too dangerous to be
To
released,
use
right?
today.
And
Yeah.
I don't buy this story at all since day one.
No.
And I want to know, what does AI look like in 5 years, and how are we building towards that, right? Like, and none of them are talking about it. Apple talk about on device AI. Amazon, Microsoft, Google talk about FDEs, multimodal orchestration, computing. Then we have the people who talk about fine tuning. We have AMD and NVIDIA who build computers. It's all, Michael, like all of these that I just mentioned are solutions that are not on the market yet. None of them,
But also,
right?
none of them are coming from Anthropic or
and
OpenAI.
and none of them are coming from Anthropic and OpenAI. It's all people who are talking about how they see AI next, right?
Yeah,
And OpenAI and Anthropic are not involved into any of these conversations, and I think that's a problem to me. That's a massive problem to me.
I agree.
I would love to have Dario point of view on on-device
Daria, come
AI.
on. You know you're listening. Come on the show. I dare you. You know you're listening.
Like, what does he think when Apple launch AI OS inside macOS, right? And
Yeah.
then it's amazing, and they run a tiny model on device that's big enough for 90% of the population. What does he think about that? Because that's
Right. I
what's
mean,
gonna happen.
I bet all the stuff that I do, I could run on device.
It's actually, I really, really believe that. Actually, I think, Michael, you may be one of the biggest winner of this
From on device
type
AI.
type of product, because if Apple build you just what you need on device that's fast and cheap, and
I'd
just
have it. I'd have two of them.
you would use it all the time. And plus, like, if there's like a little way of like either fine tuning it or building a very simple context layer, so then the AI knows you, and that's what you love, right? If the AI can tell you every day, "Hello, Michael, how are you?" That's it. You don't need more than that.
You know what's going to happen though, Martin, if I buy one, right?
you should buy another one.
Oh, yeah, no, but what's going to happen to the first one?
It's going to end up on my desk.
Exactly. You're going to borrow it, and I'm never going to get it back.
No, the real flow, Major, is you buy
Happily.
two. Is you buy two, then you tell me how amazing it is, and then you say, "Actually, I have one that I don't use," and then I say, "Okay, then give it to me." So that's the flow. That's how I get all of your stuff on my desk.
Exactly.
But I see that happening, and sooner rather than later, and I love
I
this
agree.
use case. It's just going to be so good. It's not going to be enough for developers. Yes, okay, but that's 0.1% of the population. Apple told to everybody else, and there's so much money. Like, how come OpenAI and Anthropic are not talking about it? It's building a computer.
That was not their MO. Again, they were speed running to an IPO. That's over, and now they're really gonna have to figure out like what they're gonna do next, because I don't think they had a plan.
I don't think they have a plan. I think they have no plan since day one. They have no idea what's going on.
Okay, maybe we should end there for today, Martin.
Yes, does anyone else has, like, I don't know, any question, any comments? What do you think about it? Do you think OpenAI and Anthropic have a plan? Like, actually, we could make an article about that, Michael. Do Anthropic and OpenAI have a plan?
I already wrote that down.
Or ever had a plan, actually.
Exactly.
There is 25 examples of them actually having no idea of what's going on. They must have a plan. Yeah, I agree. Like, I bet they talk a lot, yeah, for sure. They must have a plan. I agree with you. Like, they must,
They
but
must,
just
but like that plan is not clear to anybody.
it's
I'm
not
not
clear
sure it's
to
clear to
everybody.
them, even if they are talking about it.
And everything that they missed, right? Like, Chat GPT, they launched, no idea to do about it. All the orchestrator that basically 10x the implementation of AI into enterprises in 6 months, they missed it as well. It's Peter who showed the world, basically, one guy alone who built an open source solution, triggered the entire Codex, and then everything else. Yeah, I lost you as well. I think that's a platform that say, guys, it's time to stop. Wait, my God, 1 second. We lost you. Wait, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Yeah, we lost you. No. Yes, okay, you are back. Perfect. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I don't know why.
Can you
I'm
hear
back.
me?
I'm
Okay.
back, yeah.
Perfect, yeah, you're back.
So again, everybody, give us a thumbs up on today's video before my video goes out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our socials on X, on Instagram, and LinkedIn. We love the interactivity. Keep doing that. We'll be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Michael Waits. I'm going to say goodbye for now.
Thanks for joining, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.